When a 400-meter-long cargo vessel loses steering in a major canal, the consequences are immediate and paralyzing. The flow of global trade halts entirely. Out on the open ocean, the dangers of this massive scale become even more acute. When these towering, top-heavy cargo stacks meet unpredictable winter storm surges, the physics turn deadly, sending dozens of steel containers plunging into the churn. This graph maps out a core industry assumption. Capacity should scale indefinitely. Since 1968, carrying capacity surged by a staggering 1,500%. Today, shipyards deliver vessels hauling 24,000 TEUs, the zenith of this expansion. The relentless math of continuous expansion is hitting a hard boundary. Earth's physical geography is finally pushing back. Look at this inverted bar graph to see the economic engine driving this growth. It shows the capital cost per container. When you double a vessel's size, your fuel and operating expenses barely rise, meaning the transport cost for every individual unit drops sharply. This is the raw power of economies of scale. Achieving these numbers requires massive vertical growth. Modern cargo stacks now reach 9 tiers above the main deck to maximize every inch of hull space. Deep inside the hold, strong vertical structures called cell guides form a rigid steel grid to lock the containers into columns. The weight concentrates at the hull's bottom, where the lowest tier must resist the static force of 8 units pressing down from above. Engineering can solve the internal stresses of massive capacity, but these ships remain subordinate to the fixed dimensions of the natural world. Global shipping relies on a handful of critical bottlenecks to function. Passages like the Suez Canal act as natural choke points, restricting the physical dimensions a ship can safely reach. In the Suez Canal, a 50-meter-wide hull is restricted to just a 12-meter draft. With a 9-story wall of containers sitting above the water, a strong lateral wind transforms the stack into a massive sail, making the shallow hull nearly impossible to steer. The newest class of vessels, known as Megamax 24s, are engineered specifically to carry 24 containers across their width. They squeeze through these canals with almost zero margin for error. These vessels operate on a margin of mere millimeters. They have reached the maximum dimensions the planet's primary trade routes can accommodate. Faced with these physical limits, the industry is beginning to fracture. Some operators are abandoning the giants entirely, returning to smaller 5,500 TEU vessels to bypass port congestion and guarantee agile deliveries. This comparative bar chart reveals the heavy environmental tax of that speed. When you ditch the megaship for a smaller vessel, the carbon footprint per container skyrockets, triggering a massive 150% spike in greenhouse gas emissions. Conversely, the megaships utilize slow steaming to burn less fuel and keep emissions low. But the moment they arrive, they overwhelm the terminal. Unloading 20,000 containers at once creates immediate logistical gridlock for the thousands of trucks waiting at the docks. Receiving one of these leviathans requires ports to spend billions of dollars on deeper channels and colossal ultra-wide portainer cranes capable of reaching across the ship's beam. The drive for scale has reached a fork in the road. Efficiency at sea now creates systemic fragility on land. For decades, the simple math of containerized shipping was flawless. Build it bigger and the unit cost drops. But those financial benefits have officially hit a point of diminishing returns. As you watch this global map, notice how the options disappear. The astronomical cost of expanding terminal infrastructure means that as ships swell toward 24,000 TEUs, the number of global harbors capable of catching them is rapidly shrinking. Building a wider hull doesn't solve a supply chain crisis if the trucks and trains on shore can't absorb the cargo. The future of global trade relies on stabilizing these terrestrial networks, connecting the ship to the shore with precise, coordinated data. Contemporary demand is becoming more dispersed. Rather than piling goods into a single hub, the next generation of logistics must prioritize flexibility and direct city delivery over raw, concentrated volume. The era of the ever-growing megaship is ending. Global trade is finding its final shape, bounded by the immutable depth and width of the world itself.